Good morning. How you doing? It's raining here today. It's beautiful to hear the birds chirp in the background. Maybe I can share that with you. You can hear it. What popped into my head just as I was coming back to the house here was, do you live by a personal code? Firstly, what does that mean? It's much more common for men, but I think it applies to both men and women. A code of ethics, a code of chivalry, a code of some rules that you kind of live your life in to stay in integrity, to stay in honor, to stay in respect of others, of self-respect. So that code is kind of like a set of intentions, I guess is the best way I'd like to state it nowadays, of how you're going to see the world and how you interact with the world, and how you honor others and honor yourself and self-love yourself in doing these things. So I've been looking today, had a discussion. I went and bought some stuff off of Facebook Marketplace today and met a very amazing man, and we had a beautiful conversation for like half an hour after I picked up the stuff. And we were just talking about how messy things are, like trying to sell something on Facebook or other things where so few people are living by any standard of a code. He'd said that he'd went and sold something and lots of people wanted it, so the price kept going up. It was up to $40, and the guy said he was coming in an hour or whatever, and then he never did show up. And it ended up he lost out on even more people that would have paid even more, because he had to reset the price back, and it started at 20, and he was so frustrated and so angry of the lack of a code or personal integrity or whatever, and he lost out because that person wasn't that. And when people live with a code, it's kind of hard to even understand how people would do that, because it's outside of our vocabulary. If I told somebody, like this guy, the thing I went to get, there was 50 people that were interested in it. It was a really good price, and I was the first one that was willing to come right away. I dropped everything and drove right straight there and did exactly what I said, and it was such a beautiful interaction. It made him feel safe. It made him feel confident that the world will deliver what it needs. And I felt good too. And it created this, like, I don't even know how to describe it, like a celebration between two men of meeting our words. He put a really reasonable price on something. I came and accepted it. We negotiated on one of the items, and everybody was respected, and nobody felt bad. It was just like, holy crap, I'm so happy to give you this, and I'm so happy to give you $20 for it. And that's where we seem to be falling down a little bit in our world right now. We've been so beat up. We've been so besmirched is the word that popped up, but it's kind of like so run ragged by people not following through, things not working out, just tearing at our civility. I feel that there's an element of darkness in this world that wants it to be chaos, and it wants everything to be broken, and it wants light people to feel not light anymore so that it can hide in the shadows still. So that personal code, I'll talk about some of mine. Like one that's really important to me is if I say something, I will follow through with it, no matter what. Sometimes at great pain or personal loss. And if for some reason I can't follow through with it, I will speak about it and have a direct conversation and say, hey, I can't make it there. My tire is flat. Or, hey, I changed my mind. And yeah, maybe that's messy or whatever, but I won't ghost someone or not follow through or say I'm coming and then not show up. That would just like drive me nuts to not follow through with what I said I do. Because what's the purpose of saying something and not following through with it? You just harm yourself after a while. It's like that's the energy you're going to bring in your world, and that's what you expect from the world. And if without setting a personal example of how you want to be treated with others, how is that ever going to happen? And I'm finding that's really key nowadays, because without that personal code of me following through, or of you being there when I agreed, or whatever, the structure of reality of civilization starts to fall apart. Because if you say you'll do something and then you don't do it, we lose trust. And without trust, how can we feel safe? We end up getting into this point where we can't trust anybody, and it feels really icky and messy. So where are we in our world maybe creating lack of trust, which then shows up as more lack of trust situations, and then it gets to be this big black hole of craziness that reinforces lack of trust, because that's our vibration, when really we can step back and say, okay, this isn't working out the way I like it, and so from this day forward, I'm going to follow through with everything that I say, and I'm going to create trust with all the people so that I can get trust back. And it sets an intention into the universe that shifts everything. If you have a belief that men or women are all traumatized or hurt, because that's something that I've had witnessed in my life, where I got a lot of traumatized people coming in to show up in a relationship with me. And I had traumas that I couldn't see, that were from very early in my life, that actually were lineage traumas in some ways, that I couldn't even be aware of, that I couldn't become aware of unless I brought that kind of energy into my life. And then I saw my reflection in their reflection, and it caused a lot of deep introspection and a lot of painful realizations of how I was coming from, how I self-loved myself, how I felt about myself, and then seeing that reflected through the people that I brought in through relationship. And you got two choices at that point. Oh, a victim of trust important, especially trust God. Yeah, absolutely, Andrea. As we begin to understand inside of us, there's all these pulls that were programmed from early in our life. The traumas are pulling. It's trying to reinforce the story, etc. We start to see what's going on. We start to see our whys. We start to see beliefs that aren't in alignment with us. And then we can start to make shifts. And then we can start to make things like these code changes. It's like, okay, in my life from now on, I'm going to be very direct and open about what I want in a relationship. And I'm going to ask lots of questions when behaviors are coming back and other things, but in self-respecting and accountable ways, not accusing or other things, but saying, okay, well, you're saying these things and they're hurting me. Why are you saying these things? What did you mean by that? And then you can find out, oh, they have some traumas underneath, or they're trying to shut you down because your way of being is making them uncomfortable, because they're having to wake up, or they're having to look at these facets of themselves. And it gets crazy sometimes. I've had in these past couple of weeks where women have projected deeply upon me about stuff that wasn't even mine. It was theirs, and I was forced into this introspection. And until I really understood myself and understood that my code wouldn't allow that, and those words weren't even said, but it was their past exes, their past whatever that was going on, I got to see these beautiful reflections, and then start to trust and feel confident in myself that I don't act that way, and I'm not that kind of person. But their past experience was showing them that this is all the people that they could join in. So I'm going to get into that topic on another live. I don't want to go deep in it here, but what's your code? What's the thing that when stuff gets hard, you will stand in no matter what? You're like the concrete under your foundation. What's your code? What's the thing that you won't fuck people around on, or you won't avoid having a hard conversation on, or whatever? My code, like I said, is integrity, following through with what I said, and holding people in integrity. So when they're not in integrity, I'll speak to it. I'll call it out in a gentle way, just to say, okay, well, I have a need or an expectation of integrity. If I'm giving it to you, I expect it to be returned. And now you can't chase them or whatever, but at least standing in that and setting that intention to the universe will change things. And if you're always doubting that you're going to get it back or whatever, you're only going to get a reflection of your lack of confidence in that thing. So what's other things? Like, how do you follow through in a relationship? Well, I go in, I be direct about what my wants are, and I stand in respect of their desires, and I will honor whatever they ask for. And if I can't honor whatever they ask for, it feels not good for me, I'm going to bring it up. It's like, hey, that doesn't feel good that you get to control all the things, or you expect me to be masculine all the time when you're masculine as much as I am sometimes. And it creates these weird situations where if they're not brought up or discussed how this can work, everything gets messy really quick, because there's no really clear definition of who you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to be or what percentage of masculine or feminine you're going to bring in the relationship at certain times. So what's your code? What's your code? What makes you feel safe in this world? What's the thing that you're going to project and show? And I'm not talking projection in a bad way. I'm talking like a light shining out that says, I'm going to be this to whoever shows up. And the price of admission is for you to meet me in the same way. And my code is also, if people don't meet me in that same way, or they disrespect me or whatever, then I release them from my reality. I don't need that anymore. I had a friend recently that I thought was a good friend, and then they wanted to get back. They'd forgotten me for the last 2.5 years or whatever, and things went away. And then they said, hey, we should get together for lunch or whatever. And I said, great, let's do that. And suggested times, and 3 weeks later, nothing. So was that really a friend, or was that somebody that was looking to reconnect, or is that somebody that was maybe lost and needed some quick fix energy or whatever? So those are the people that end up off my list really quick. And it's okay. And it makes me feel so much better, because now it's really crystal clear what their intentions were. And there's lots of people with really mangled up intentions out there, but I won't participate. So what's your code? What's a code of chivalry? What's a code of helping people? Yeah, if they're down, they're hurting, I will assist them. I usually will, my code is I'll offer to pay for lunch the first time, or I'll whatever, but my code also says that has to be in balance. And if that starts to get out of balance, then some hard discussions happen and we discuss it. What other things are in my code? Like being respectful of the people around me. Like, I live in an apartment building. I could sit here and crank my music and bang around, but I don't. I walk quietly, and I like my peace and quiet. But neighbors upstairs, they're constantly walking around on their heels, pounding the floor, and it's got to be loud for them, and just feels like somebody pounding on a sledgehammer sometimes above me. So a code is, I'm not going to scream and yell and harm someone or whatever because I'm frustrated, but I'm setting intention, sending love, sending that I'm not going to pass that on to the people below me because those people are grumpy and uncomfortable. I can't help what their mood is, or that they have to crash around like that, but that's how some people live their life. Bang against the walls, hit things, drop things all the time. Probably happens 200 times a day some days. Yet I don't do that to other people because they did it. It's the world of choosing better and having respect for people. So anyways, I'm wandering around a lot here. There's lots to be said in this area, but what's your code? Maybe state some of them down below, and let's build up an idea of better ways to treat the people around us, how to hold the world, how to create a new reality for ourselves. And magic happens. Things change. Things get better. That's what I'm asking for, and I want in my world. So I love you all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your beautiful comments, and we'll talk more soon. Have a good day.